Welcome, beautiful souls, to another episode of the Spiritual Catalyst podcast, where we talk about all things weird and woo. I am your host, Sarah Lyons, the founder of newerschool.com.au, and today we have Philippa Storie with us to talk about relationships as reflections and triggers as gifts. Philippa, the global intuitive healer, is from Cape Town, South Africa, also known as the Mother City. This is the energy that she carries in the work she does with her soul clients, holding gentle, sacred space for them to rediscover their self-worth and love. She is a world-renowned hidden mind bioenergy healer and helps her clients release their known and unknown trapped emotions, causing their heart walls, blocks, and generational trauma. She is a public speaker, energy and plant medicine motivator, and retreat host. And Philippa also has a vision to build conscious community centres and shift the education system to include all children. I love this. Philippa, welcome.
Hello, Sarah. Thank you for having me today.
You are so welcome. It's so good to talk to you, and I can't wait to chat about relationships as reflections and triggers as gifts, and maybe a sprinkle of heart walls in there somewhere.
Yes. This is definitely one of my favorite topics that has been coming around for a while now. You know, we're spirits having a human experience, and everything in this world is about polarities. Mm-hmm. You know, there's no light without dark. There's no cold without hot. You know, so there's no fear without love. So we need to understand that our bodies are our compasses to follow what it is that feels good for us on our journey. And so many of us, we are born into families, belief systems, religious backgrounds, societies that we have, you know, they imprint on us their beliefs and things. And as we get older, we've got to navigate and feel into what feels good for us and what doesn't feel good for us. And inevitably, what feels good for you might feel terrible for me, and that's okay. Mm-hmm. But I think our society has, you know, labeled things as good or bad.
Totally. Yeah.
And it's not a truth, you know. Mm-hmm. We really need to. So with that being said, relationships, all your relationships in your life are a direct reflection of how you feel about yourself. And that's quite a hard pill to swallow, because why would people choose abusive relationships? Why would they choose terrible bosses and, you know, harmful experiences?
True.
We do this because it's how we feel about ourselves on the inside. We don't love ourselves enough. We don't, you know, our masculine and feminine energy is not balanced. We're either being hyper masculine in our doing mode and not taking care of ourselves, or we might be, you know, relaxing, doing nothing, and not putting in enough inspired action into what it is that we want. And then blaming everything around us for not being how it is that we desire. But when we desire something, we've got to believe in it. You know, there's that beautiful cosmic kitchen. You can't go and sit there and say, I'd like this, and then all your thoughts and words, you know, speak the polar opposite of it, because then you're not believing in what it is that you are envisioning for yourself.
Totally.
And then, yeah, then the triggers being gifts, you know, things that trigger us, things that make us feel super upset and have emotional charges. Yes, they don't feel good, but it is a direct roadmap to where you need to heal. And inevitably, it's not the thing that's just triggered you, it's an emotion that's trapped behind that. And when we allow ourselves to locate those trapped emotions, process them, release them, we don't get triggered anymore. You know, and that's the beautiful thing about the work that I do. I just absolutely love helping people shift from that survival mode into being.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I can see how this will affect obviously all areas of our lives. You know, as adults, we get to choose the relationships we're in too. So it's a really good invitation for us if we find ourselves in those triggering relationships is, well, first of all, why am I still here? Secondly, why is this triggering me? You know, is this person actually harming me? Or is there something inside of me that I could take a deeper look at here? So I'd love
Yes,
to
and
hear. Yeah, go ahead, darling.
I was about to say, I shared a beautiful quote the other day that, all those bad people in your life, they're your teachers. They're teaching you, that what we would label as bad people. They're actually not. They're your greatest teachers. That boyfriend that traumatized you so much, or that parent that didn't nurture you. They are our biggest teachers for us to actually find our light and shine our light. Because through our pain and suffering, if you look at the polarity of pain is pleasure.
Yeah.
So when we're having a painful experience, we create a story around it. There's an emotional charge, and that story becomes a bad story. It becomes trauma. But if we actually look in hindsight at these terrible things, they shifted us. Because you don't learn when you are happy and everything's going well, and you learn in those dark times. And so in those dark times, if you search for the gift of, what did I learn about myself through this process? Were there people that showed up in my life that I thought were missing and gone? What are the gifts? Where's the pleasure that came from that pain? And with doing that, it's like it's in quantum physics. You literally like balance it out so that you can collapse that emotional charge. And then the story that you've been telling yourself isn't as painful. Yeah.
And they're often such a beautiful, those really painful experiences are a beautiful catalyst for those deeper levels of self-love too, because when we really love and respect ourselves, what I've noticed is those triggers really lose that potency.
I mean, I actually, what the thing that happened in my life, I was in a stage where I had had a string of terrible boyfriends, string of bad bosses, just people working for them and then them not paying. And it was just like, and I got home one day and I dropped to my knees and I was like, God, what the hell is going on? I'm a good person. The law of attraction says what you put out into the universe, you will get back. I'm giving, I'm caring, I'm, sharing with people my light, like what is going on? And then that divine higher aspect of myself just popped in and was like, it's the way you feel about yourself.
Yeah. Wow.
You can be as kind and giving and loving. You can be that martyr. But if we're so separate, we separate ourselves from everything. And if we actually remember that we are one collective consciousness, you can treat others with love and respect. But if you're not going to love and respect yourself, the outside is going to reflect it back to you. So
Totally.
it starts within only. That's the journey.
Totally, totally. And I'd
Mm.
love to hear how the heart walls play out in all of this because, they have such a big role. And I love this part
So
about you. I love it.
thank you. So a heart wall, if you think of it as an energetic thing, a heart wall is a protection mechanism, which is very much of the old energy. We build this safe wall around our heart so that it doesn't get broken. Now, what happens is we experience traumas, and if you also think of it as every single age that we are at, we experience things differently. Like 5-year-old Sarah would not experience the same thing that 35-year-old Sarah would experience. It just wouldn't happen. You've more emotionally developed.
Yeah.
So each age, we have perceptions of things that happen to us. And instead of allowing it to break our heart, we just trap that emotion and we store it, like put it in the cupboard, and we'll work on it later. Also, a lot of the programming that we're born into is just suck it up, put your big girl panties on, big boys don't cry, all that sort of stuff. So you just kind of get on with it.
Yep.
And if you think of a cupboard that you just keep on hoarding stuff in, eventually that cupboard's going to want to break open. And that's what happens with your triggers. Someone cuts you off in traffic and you have the most colorful, vile language to bark at them. But it's because you are not having a great day. So a heart wall is made up of multiple trapped emotions. And I help my soul clients to locate them because some of them are known, but a lot of them are unknown. And we also inherit it through our bloodlines. So we might have a great grandparent going back 6 generations that had a severe trauma, in the family, and they just had to get on with it back in the day. And so they trapped it. And it literally gets passed down through the bloodline in the DNA that then how many of us have seen what our mothers or fathers have experienced and we've perpetuated that in our life? Whereas it wasn't actually ours to begin with, but, because of karma, we've got to play it out and finish it. So, and make a different decision. So, with that, those are the unknown trapped emotions. So, the process is to help them locate them, and we acknowledge that grandparent, we acknowledge ourselves in this life for the times it has shown up in our lives of each of those ages, because it's made us who we are today. And then we just allow it to be transmuted and released so that we no longer have to struggle with those trapped emotions. It's a lovely, gentle, beautiful process. I feel like I help people crack their hearts wide open so they can love themselves more deeply. Because when you're doing that, inevitably, when you love yourself, you can love others.
Yeah.
And if we can teach our kids to really feel their things and then let it go, we'll have a lot less people walking around with these trapped emotions in their heart wall.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And for those listeners listening in, and maybe this is the first time they've ever heard about heart walls, and this whole concept, the whole topic today, would you be able to share with them maybe some cool things you've seen happen with your clients once you've released these heart walls for them?
Yeah, there's been so many.
I bet.
Yeah, there's people shift. Some of them embody their healing differently and faster, and others take a bit longer. But inevitably, if you change something, everything changes. It cannot stay the same.
Yeah.
I recently worked with the most incredible woman in Ireland, and she was struggling with such severe depression due to all the trauma in the family. And the day she called me, she couldn't get dressed, she couldn't brush her teeth, she couldn't eat. She was, like as a mom, you're trying to protect your kids and love your kids, and it was just too much. It's almost like when those things all start to come right and now you get a chance to break.
Yeah.
It was at that point. And she connected with me just for, because I offer a free 20-minute connection call. And during that call, if you'd like, I release one heart wall for you so you can experience it. And that's what she did, and immediately booked a series of sessions with me. And this is just like 3 months ago. Her entire life has changed. She is such a light. She is so happy. She's, yeah, even her family members are now messaging me and saying, okay, we want some of that medicine, please. What you've done for her has been incredible. And that's just, I work with a lot of people that struggle with addictions, anxiety, depression. These are things that a lot of mental illness going on, and people aren't even aware of the struggles. And it's a lot of the time we've got people in our family, which are normally labeled like the black sheep of the family or whatever, and they are actually the catalysts for the change in the family. It's like they're like the gutter that has been collecting everything that is poured in from the family. Hence the reason they're so highly sensitive, and they actually experience things on a much larger scale. And once they actually do the work and they heal for themselves, it heals the entire family bloodline. It's such a beautiful, you're releasing your ancestors from their pain and trauma, which is just so magical.
It
Yeah.
is. So powerful, so powerful. And for those of the beautiful listeners who are following along and wondering, oh, how can I receive a 20-minute call with you, release a heart wall so they can experience it for themselves, where can we best find you?
So I am on Instagram as the Global Intuitive Healer, and on Facebook you can find my Facebook page, Conscious Heart Healing Collective, or Philippa Storie. And Sarah's also going to share with my Linktree link, which gives you access to the free connection call and everything
Beautiful.
else.
Awesome. And I'll make sure that that link is in the description underneath this episode. Philippa, I have one more question for you, and that is,
My
if
signal's bad.
you could go back to, childhood, or back to one of those most painful experiences in your life, as we've all had, what would you have told that younger Philippa? Oh, I think you're muted, darling.
Sorry,
There
Sarah.
you go.
Yeah, my
It's okay.
connection dropped.
All good. Did you hear my question?
What was the question? Please repeat.
The question was, if you could go back to one of those earlier memories where, you were experiencing that trauma or a painful moment, what would you, as a Philippa today, have said to your younger self?
I think I would have said to my younger self that you are 100% always supported. You don't have to fear anything. Everything is working for you, not against you. And to really tap into that divine aspect of yourself. Because if you allow yourself to become silent and listen to that inner voice, you are always guided. And there's no good or bad. You just got to go with the flow. If things are feeling not so good, then pivot, change your direction, look at a different view. Because there's always a solution, and you're always supported. And that's, you're going to get through it all. You always have, and you always will.
Beautiful.
So,
Beautiful
yes.
words. Thank you for sharing that with us. And thank you to our beautiful listeners for listening in today. If you enjoyed today's episode, please consider leaving us a review and following us for more episodes in the future. We will see you next time.